Today, we embark on a mission to resurrect this £150,000 Land Rover Sport Autobiography, equipped with supercharged V8, a majestic beast scarred by the hands of another garage. With precision and determination, we will mend its wounds and bring it back to its former glory. The stakes are high, but so is our resolve. We are on a mission to replace the faulty alternator and to refresh the gearbox with a flush. As we delve into the heart of this beast, we will try and uncover the mysterious cause of its failure. So, let the drama begin.
Here we are. Time to get involved. I'm going to be honest with you, I have never done this before, but alternator is an alternator replacement. This is not the one where you have to take the body off of the Land Rover. That one's going to be an atrocious job. I don't think I'll ever take that on, but before we waste our time, let's go and get started. Let's not waste any time. Let's go!
John, I bet this is already a madness, John. Oil, coolant, you name it. Brother, look at that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
That is soaked.
finish, mate.
Coolant there.
Yeah, everything there, mate.
Everything there. Oil there.
Oh my god.
As a mechanic, the sight of coolant or oil dripping under a car is like a storm cloud gathering over the unsuspecting customer. The immediate cost to mend such a leak is at least £200. At the very least, and the true extent of the damage remains a mystery. So, let's keep digging and find the source of this money-grabbing fault.
Oh my days. Alright, okay. So the reason why this thing is leaking, his story was he had something to do with the coolant. He had it replaced. Not so long ago, probably about a few months back, he's saying. Or a few weeks back, I can't remember. And I just had a good look underneath, and this is one of the things that I hate when people do on cars, when they fix cars. Come with me and I'll show you.
You can see there, that thing is pretty new, and if you look under it, can you see where it's leaking from? Black thing that's hanging over there, that is what we call silicone.
I've fitted one of those before, and it definitely says
No silicone.
do not use silicone, alright, because it comes with a gasket already. It comes with it already, which means you don't need to add silicone.
Silicone gaskets are mainly used to seal uneven surfaces with voids in them, such as timing chain covers and oil sump. However, double sealing might cause even more trouble than it's worth. Parts such as water pump usually comes with either paper, rubber or corrugated material gasket. These materials are designed to flex, expand and contract. If you add silicone on top of those materials, they are likely to leak because they do not expand at the same time, creating voids where fluids can escape from.
Yeah, and that's why it's leaking. Few weeks, few months down the line. No good, is it?
Now that we've found the source of the coolant leak, it's time to tackle the beast in the room. To get to the alternator, we'll first have to remove the wheel arch, which will give us access to the bottom alternator bolts. Whilst John is doing that, I started removing the upper air duct, exposing the drive belt and tensioner. And as you can see, there is still some leak around this area, but let's go and find out what it may be.
Yeah, that doesn't look good, does it? That is absolutely insane. Like, the previous garage thought it was the radiator, or well, the owner actually thought it was the radiator, and then the garage went over there. Maybe it is, who knows, maybe it was the radiator, but I really don't think that it was, because they worked underneath, and as you can see, there's leaks here, there was a previous leak up here, and then now you can see the alternator is also soaked with oil. So yeah, man. Yeah, bruv, it's not, is it? But we're almost there now. We're just about to remove the alternator, so let's get going. Let's get John to remove the alternator. But first, what do we do? What do we do?
You gotta plug the battery.
He's got brains. Last brain cell. Look at this. This is not us.
That was already there. I know it's a cream interior. That's not us. That's there for a long time. But the main issue is, right? The main issue is that. Look at the wheel,
Hefty
man.
wheel, bro.
Yeah, hefty wheel before we can actually like get to the battery. What the? That's jarring.
You got it, mate. Got it, mate.
Oh, actually,
Go on, you got it, mate.
no, they actually, the previous garage actually has tinkered with this because this is supposed to have a cover on it. And look at this. the hell is that? Bodginess over there. That one. What is that about? That's crazy.
Imagine being stuck on the motorway, and then you have to change your tires. And you're. I'm not saying all women are weak, but you know, like, come on, man, this is hefty. We gotta disconnect that negative terminal and say goodbye. Night, night.
I can kill this with one hand.
Oh, sorry, mate. Very strong, yeah. Yeah. Look at this. The negative terminal is just there, look. Now we just have to verify that the car has gone to sleep before we start disconnecting stuff for the alternator. See there. You can let go now. Slowly. Yeah, having a spare wheel in the back that big is a little bit inconsiderate in my opinion. Bro, it's like the same height as you. It's huge. I can fit it. That's mad. It's wet. It's wet, bro. That thing is wet, bro. It's wet, bro.
I think we might have a better access underneath, I think. I'm pretty sure that's 3/8.
Why is it not fitting though? Hefty tensioner. Huge.
Now that the belt is slack, we can leave the ratchet leaning against a pulley. This will prevent the tensioner from tightening the drive belt system, allowing us to move the belt away from the alternator.
Hands are too cold, bro. Two.
Once the securing bolts are off, we can start removing the positive terminal on the alternator, not forgetting that we also need to remove the LIN cable that's here.
John's removed the alternator.
Yeah, right. Go on.
Mate,
Make it fit.
One bolt.
Make it.
Look how bad that looks, man. That is just... Huh?
That's abysmal, bro.
Yeah, it's done, innit? Struggling. Came across to something that is rather annoying. The alternator is out, however, it doesn't fit on that gap where it's supposed to come out. How annoying is that? Anyway, we've got a strategy for this. What we're going to do is we're going to loosen up the subframe on this side and try to lever it a little bit just so that it comes out. But obviously, again, with the Range Rover, another issue. This bolt right here is completely stuck. It sees in place, it just doesn't want to budge. Now we have got obviously our 37 LG from GYS to the rescue, and hopefully it can free up. Hopefully it can. Yeah, we just can't get it out. We've tried many ways trying to undo all of the subframe bolts, but that one is just not budging. The one that was there is no chance. He's also told us that this vehicle had an engine replacement, which tells me that the bolts has been mixed up because they're different sizes all around for whatever reason.
This one's 18, 16,
17.
17,
Yeah,
18.
yeah, it's all over the place, and I have a feeling that they just forced that bolt in, and that's why it's not coming out. So we're gonna try
A different approach.
We're gonna try and take it from the top. So let's go take the stuff at the top. It's currently midday, probably 1 o'clock, and it's freezing cold, -1 at the moment. Our hands are just cold as anything. So let's go and hurry up.
Being a mechanic is all about being versatile and finding your way around things, and this is unfortunately the only other way we found to take the alternator out. We had to take the airbox out of bank 1, remove the outermost idler pulley from the dry belt system, and loosen the ABS module off of its bracket. This then allowed us to wiggle the module around, allowing us to fit the alternator out. I wonder if this is how doctors think when they're delivering a baby, but...
I've got to be careful because there's this pipe here. 1, 2, 3. No brute force, please. We'll get up.
Not being funny, but it does look like we are delivering a baby here.
It's out. Get it out then. Yay. Right, I'm going home. See you later.
You going home? Yeah, let's go. Yeah, let's go. Sod the owner for that. Look at it. I cleaned it with my own hands. Look, it was actually wetter and dirtier than this earlier. Look at this. So, look. I know, it's crazy, isn't it? Look at that. And so the alternator used to be under here. Now you can see that oil leak over there. That is his timing chain cover, and that is leaking straight down to his alternator, causing all that trouble. John, would you do this job again?
Yeah, no, mate.
Yeah, I definitely would do that job again though. It's just
In the next
No.
20 years.
now we know what we're doing, innit? So we're still.
Looking at this alternator, I had no doubt in my mind that it needed replacing. The oil must have caused some sort of short inside, or perhaps it's not allowing the magnets to generate enough magnetic field due to contamination. Who knows? That being said, we are going to be replacing it with a brand new unit from Hella, not a cheap remanufactured part. Putting it back in is just as hard as taking it out, but this time around we have been more efficient as we now know what needs to be moved out of the way to get the job done. This is what I love about being a mechanic. I learn something new every day, even more so that it pushes you mentally, physically, and definitely spiritually.
What was that, man? Honestly, I cannot. We've been here, what, 5 hours, John? We were literally trying to figure out how to... Oh, his plate number. We were literally trying to figure out how to remove the alternator for the longest time. It's annoying. But now we've got to basically put the B plus terminal and also the LIN cable. And as you can see here, we have got the flushing machine. We still got to do a flush on this vehicle. So, it's late, man. It's up 4 o'clock. Yeah, and it's 3 hours away from home, believe it or not. With traffic as well. So, yeah, let's not stop messing around.
Now that we've got the alternator successfully installed, we can finally start to put everything back together. Starting from putting the bank 1 airbox back in the right place, and then after that we can connect the connecting air duct onto bank 1 and 2 airboxes, while simultaneously trying to connect it on the supercharger. God, that was a lot to say. But anyway, just like that, we can finally seal the engine bay and hope to never open it up again.
Right, now that we've got everything on, it's a question of, is it going to charge? Is it going to start? Let's go and have a look.
Is the battery light going to stay on? This is the moment of truth now. Let's go and have a look.
Oh my god. That sounds mean, innit? That sounds mean.
Right, now we have to see if that battery light is going to stay on. As you can see, because of all the leaks, coolant, check engine lights, it's all there, all the lights that you need for a Range Rover is there. But now let's go and let's stay here and see if the battery light is gonna come on. It would have by now. It would have by now. It would have by now. Unit level low. Okay. Hey, that's the answer. Lovely jubbly. All charging. Purring nicely as well. See? Now the next thing that we have to do is to obviously do the transmission flush on this. It is going to take a little bit of time to warm up the engine, and as you know, there's a thermostatic valve on that gearbox, so we just have to wait for that. Just look at the color of the transmission fluid on that. That is definitely done. Oh my days, look at it. Let me try and zoom into that. Okay.
It's black.
Without the right equipment, we will not be able to do this job, so to flush the gearbox we will need to use our Launch UK Cat 601S. And of course, we will be replacing the oil and filter using Blueprint and Febby Bilstein parts. I trust their products as they are OE quality matching parts, meaning they have matched or exceeded OEM requirements, so you know that the OEM quality is there.
So, oh, bloody.
Jump scare.
Right, so as you know, it is getting late now. Well, you can see it in the background there, it's very dark. So we have to now start. Sorry, I missed filming the what's it called? Replacing the filter. My camera just died. I have a short clip right here, but that's what it is. It just died on me. So anyway, let's start this. Get it running to temperature. Let's go. And as you can see right there, we're all connected up now. We are going to be taking it from, we are going to be doing the exchange by oil cooler itself, and as you can see it's there. We hooked up our 601S to that. There you go. Nice and easy. Now we just have to wait for the thermostatic valve to open and then we can do an exchange. Happy days. And we basically have to wait for this temperature here to get to, well, 80 degrees C. Look at that, man. That is not good, is it? Okay, it's just black. You'll see the difference in a minute. That's gonna turn yellow. It's gonna be nice. Right, I've been stupid. So good thing is I've actually called someone from Launch just to double check. This is the one with the thermostatic valve on it, and apparently this is the one without. And let me explain to you why there isn't. As you can see right here, 34.9 degrees C. Usually the thermostatic valves open at about 80 degrees C. Now, if there is a thermostatic valve on this vehicle right here, then we should not apparently be able to see any pressure on the in or the out, which we can clearly see there is. So we can actually start the exchange. Yeah! I don't have to wait 80 degrees C. Believe it or not, we've been waiting half an hour. Jesus. Okay, so the ZF8 has got 8.5 litre capacity, but what we're gonna do is we're gonna exchange 10 litres in there just to make sure that everything is evacuated out of the system, the old oil anyway. So let me show you. Alright, all I have to do is press OK, and then now it's running. There we have it, look. Alright, let's check with John.
All good?
All good, mate?
No leaks?
No leaks? Hey, happy days. And you can just about see there, this is the old oil. Well, the new oil that's going in, and then this old oil, you cannot even see through it at all. But that one is starting to clear up, look. Hey, that's how it's supposed to be. Look at that color. Look how beautiful that is. And there you have it, people. It's nice and clear now, you can see through it. And we have exchanged 10.5 liters of oil, and you can see the difference that it made. This was really dark, and I'm gonna put it up on the screen again right here. And then this one, obviously that's the new oil that is running through the system. Look how clear it is compared to the last one. Here it is. Happy days. And now look how clear that is compared to the last one. When I first took the pipe out, that is clear as anything now. So that is us all done for today. If you guys have any inquiries, like business inquiries, or even if you want to get booked in and stuff like that, please do let us know. I will leave our details down below. So if you want to see more content like this, don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace. Huh? Why are you barking, bro?